In July 2012, excitement coursed through Tyler Madoff's veins as the Bold Earth Adventures tour group made their way through the stunning terrain of Hawaii. But little did Tyler and his fellow travelers know, what started as a thrilling excursion would rapidly spiral into a series of progressively worse events, culminating in a heart-wrenching tragedy that would shake their worlds to the core. Tyler's parents eagerly invested $4,500 plus a plane ticket to send him on an exhilarating month-long escapade in Hawaii with 12 other thrill-seeking teenagers from across the nation. Bold Earth, the adventure tour company, organizes electrifying tours for high school students throughout the country, with many making the journey to Hawaii every single year to indulge in this travel adventure. The enticing 21-day Ultimate Hawaii expedition had 11 other students already signed up when Tyler signed up, and he was really ready for the experience of a lifetime. Bold Earth confidently promises to parents on their website an unparalleled experience in leadership, independence, and challenge, prioritizing safety and personal growth. In addition, they proudly claim to provide special guardianship for teenagers in their care. The trip included adrenaline-pumping activities such as surfing, kayaking, backpacking, and biking on Hawaii's awe-inspiring Big Island. Enthusiastic guides in their early 20s would oversee the unforgettable journey to the Kona coast of the Big Island, with the company subcontracting a local tour operator, Hawaii Pack and Paddle. The Department of Land and Natural Resource granted Hawaii Pack and Paddle a permit for Bold Earth's use. The permit stipulated that the group must remain within the vicinity of Captain Cook Monument and can only stay in that area and the local bay for 2.5 hours. However, on July 4th, 2012, the Bold Earth and Hawaii Pack and Paddle guides decided that they were going to do something different and extend the stay, and they ended up leading the teenagers on a forbidden, unauthorized trek through the state park to the perilous Pahoahoe lava flats. This treacherous off-limits area had jagged, crater-filled lava rock terrain, with ferocious surf relentlessly pounding and churning the coastal waters. The Bold Earth guides spearheading the trip were Andrew Mark, Kelsey Tyler, and the Hawaiian Pack and Paddle guides Barry Mims, Nolan Keeler-Reed, and Letitia Mims, with Pack and Paddle supplying the kayaks for the kayaking segment of the journey. Although Bold Earth claims to conduct background checks on its employees for criminal offenses, team leader Andrew Mark possessed a criminal record which included multiple crimes. Jim Howe, a veteran ocean safety expert in the area, remarked that a significant issue with tour companies is their tendency to hire inexperienced individuals unfamiliar with Hawaii or its unique conditions. These guides lack the knowledge of the ocean and trail conditions on the island, even though they are responsible for leading customers on these tours. They often pay them minimum wage and are subjected to a churn and burn approach by the companies. Jim, who's one of the pioneering lifeguards at Waimea Bay, has delivered safety talks to the tour company's employees to try to solve this problem. And he contributed to a development of the ocean safety website to advise customers of the potentially dangerous hazards and conditions in the area. Soon after the adventure that happens in this story, Tyler's family launched a fierce legal battle, accusing the tour guides of gross negligence. They alleged that a string of catastrophic decisions had been made, including recklessly leading teenagers into a forbidden stretch of coastline, brazenly defying the itinerary that was set out by the company, and for disregarding high surf warnings, all while exposing the tour group members to just a bunch of dangerous situations, one after another. The group had arrived at Kealakekua Bay to meet up with the kayak guides a little later than planned on the morning of July 4th, 2012. They launched their kayaks into the bay, and then they got ready to be taught a technical skills course, with the guides showing them how to practice capsize recoveries. Then it was about a 1-hour trip in their kayaks to Captain Cook Monument. Hawaii Pack and Paddled's expert guide Nolan then led the group on a hike from the coast up to the monument. This one was not that exciting, but they just kind of got up there. Nolan, who's actually from that area, boasted that he knew that area like the back of his hand. So the group was feeling pretty confident, and Nolan was obviously confident as well. They arrived at the landmark at 10 in the morning and then went back down to the water not far from the monument. They then spent about a few hours snorkeling in the bay. This place was beautiful, there was fish everywhere, and this was exactly what they signed up for. So they got to see the vibrant marine life, which they were able to take pictures of. Around 1:30, they all met up for lunch, and Nolan then led the group to some pools that were full of tiny fish and shrimp, while guide Andrew stayed with Letitia and Kelsey and a few other campers. By the time they finished eating at 2:30, the other guides were starting to prepare for the next part of the trip. And Andrew told everybody to get their stuff together and that they were going to leave the bay. So the students ended up gathering all of their belongings, and then Nolan approached Andrew and mentioned that they still had a lot of time left before their next activity, so they might be able to do something else than what they originally planned, which was just more snorkeling. Nolan really wanted to do something different than what was originally planned, so he convinced Andrew to do what he wanted to do, and told him about some of the stuff that Andrew's never seen before on the island, and that was pretty intriguing to Andrew. This was also an adventure for him. And then Nolan went over to the group and told them that they were going to go on a hike up the coastline. And he said to them, "We're going to show you the grand tour." The group didn't really know what to think at first, but Nolan seemed confident and it could be something interesting, so they kind of just went ahead with it. And they were already in the water for a while, so there was time to move on to the next thing, and they would be able to go in the water the next day anyway. It was kind of an easy sell. But Nolan appeared to have decided that he really wasn't going to do anything else besides the hike. This was going to happen. So they started hiking, and Andrew expected Nolan to lead them on a normal hiking path. Instead, he took them on a marked trail, but then they went off about 50 to 70 yards, crossing into a vast lava field that spanned roughly 200 yards. Andrew knew that something was up, and they were pretty much in uncharted territory. There was no evidence of anyone ever going in this area before, so that makes it extremely dangerous, especially when you're in Hawaii with a lot of dangerous things, like lava fields where you could potentially fall through the crust and into the lava, or fall in the razor-sharp, hardened lava. Going off the marked trail is something you generally want to stay away from unless you know exactly what you're doing. It turns out Nolan didn't really know what he was doing. Nolan yelled out to the group, telling them that this is the real Hawaii and this is why you signed up for this trip. This kind of got everyone's attention, and it was exhilarating. They ended up arriving at a tree line about 30 feet from the shoreline. And at that point, Tyler came up to Andrew and told him that he needs some sort of cover from the sun because he got sunburned really bad while they were snorkeling. So Andrew ended up just giving him his Under Armour shirt, and Tyler thanked him. And by having that shirt with the protection of it, allowed him to continue on. They got up to the cliffside and it was breathtaking, but they could see the waves crashing down there and the coastal swell was starting to get more intense. They realized that in this area they wouldn't be able to go into the water. So they continued their way down the shoreline, and then Letitia told some of the kids that they could go into the water if they linked their arms together to kind of make themselves into a big unit so the water couldn't take one of them out to sea. Then they came up to a bunch of different baths, like kind of tidal pools with blowholes mixed in. The guides told the students to go down into those tide pools, dubbing it the fun zone. But the surf was getting really dangerous. And the tide was coming in, it was getting pretty intense. Some of the teens started sitting in the tide pools, also referred to as toilet bowls, which filled with water and then drained out with a surge of forceful water that was sucking back into the ocean, similar to how a riptide kind of pulls the water back out. By now, most of the students were in the pools, seemingly unaware of the potential danger. They didn't really know what was going on, and they assumed that the guides knew what they were doing and would keep them out of danger. Andrew never sensed any warning from Nolan or Letitia that what they were doing was risky. Part of the group was in one of the queen baths, and another part of the group was about 15 yards away in another queen's bath that was actually larger than the first one. On the island, queen's baths are a particular type of tide pool that consists of sinkholes surrounded by sharp, solidified lava rock. Nolan yelled out from his bath and tried to get everybody inside. So Andrew jumped out of his queen bath and went over to where Nolan was. Just as Andrew was jumping into the second queen bath with Nolan's group, a huge wave came over him and filled the bath. The powerful wave of water crashed down and nailed everyone in that giant bath. Smashing them against the wall, the power of the water was too strong. It was swirling them around in there and they were helpless. The group had no way to get out or escape the treacherous grip of the pools. As the wave struck, Andrew tried to lower his center of gravity by gripping a nearby rock for stability. The water receded and Andrew was able to get out. He glanced back at the bath and noticed there was a lot of other people still in it. The teenagers were terrified and desperately trying to grab at anything to get out of the tide pool and away from the powerful waves before they got swept back into the ocean. Guide Kelsey was trying to help some of the students and she was grabbing them by their swimsuits to keep them from getting pulled out into the water. Then as Andrew was above the pool, a second wave hit and he was able to brace himself once more and held on tight. He almost got sucked back into the bath. He could see everyone was struggling at this point. The water slowly started to suck people back into the ocean, and Andrew leaped back into the pool to try to grab someone and get them out. He told them that they need to get out immediately as the water was receding, so they had a chance now to get out, but it wasn't a good one. Andrew now noticed that there was so much water that it could wipe someone off a cliff's edge at the far end of the pool before potentially getting swept out to sea. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, a third wave struck. The waves crashed violently against the lava rocks in the tide pools, battering everyone once again, including Tyler. Their turbulent waters then dragged Tyler through the jagged pool and over that shoreline cliff into the ocean's depths. Andrew helplessly watched as Tyler was pulled from the bath in the receding water, unable to help him. He was too far away, and if he jumped in, he would have just got sucked into the ocean as well. They were only about 25 feet apart, but it was an impossible task to try. Tyler's face was devoid of emotion, making no effort to save himself, so Andrew assumed that Tyler lost consciousness while he was slammed into one of the pools and then the water sucked him out. With the horrifying sight of Tyler disappearing into the water etched into Andrew's mind, he knew that Tyler was in grave danger. The once leisurely hike had suddenly transformed into a harrowing struggle for survival, with the relentless waves and unforgiving lava rocks threatening to claim more victims. The once fun zone had become a nightmarish ordeal that the guides had encouraged them to stay now faced the reality of the peril that they had unwittingly led their group into. As the rest of the group fought to regain control against the water and scramble to safety, the haunting image of Tyler's lifeless body being swept away would linger in their minds. The powerful ocean had revealed its destructive potential, forever changing the young adventurers by the tragic events that unfolded on the seemingly normal hike along the captivating Hawaiian coastline. Nolan and Andrew frantically searched the immediate area for any sign of the missing teen. Finally, Nolan caught sight of a body floating in the water and dove in without hesitation, risking his own life in the process. As Nolan rolled the body over, Andrew recognized Matt Alzente, prompting him and Letitia to continue their desperate search for Tyler. The two flagged down a nearby fishing boat to assist in Matt's rescue, tossing Nolan a life vest and helping to hoist Matt and Nolan aboard. Meanwhile, Letitia and Andrew scoured the area for Tyler, expanding their search up and down the coastline for about 15 minutes. Finally, Andrew headed south while Letitia headed north down the coastline. Within a few more minutes, a Zodiac tour boat arrived to aid in their search, followed shortly by 2 more boats that heard about the incident. Letitia and Andrew combed through the coastline for an agonizing hour before the fire department first responders arrived in a helicopter. One chopper landed on the cliffside, and an officer jumped out, quickly gathering details from Letitia. He informed her that there was nothing they could really do. With heavy hearts, they discontinued their search, and along with the 10 other students, Kelsey, Nolan, and Letitia began their sad journey back to their kayaks. As they made their way, a second fire department helicopter touched down, asking Andrew and Nolan for more information about Tyler, such as his age, clothing, and the exact location of where he went missing. Nolan and Andrew walked back up to the kayaks in total disbelief. It was hard to come to terms with what just happened to them towards the end of the adventure. Together, they guided everyone to their kayaks and launched towards the pier, paddling directly across the bay. Police and ambulances awaited their arrival, A few students, along with Kelsey and Letitia, provided statements about the harrowing events that had unfolded. A dispute between Bold Earth and Hawaii Pack and Paddle had arisen regarding the responsibility for the decision to take a group of young people to tide pools on a day when high surf advisories were in effect. Additionally, there are suggestions that the teenagers may have ignored the guide's warnings to stay on higher ground. There remains a disagreement over the events of that day and who, if anyone, is to blame. In September 2012, the Hawaii Pack and Paddle's permit was revoked 3 months after the incident involving Tyler Madoff. Despite this, online reviews on Yelp and TripAdvisor indicate that the company continued to lead successful kayak trips. The Madoffs filed a lawsuit that settled in 2014 for an undisclosed amount. Michael Madoff, Tyler's father, stated that the lawsuit was not about monetary compensation, but instead aimed to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Sadly, Tyler Madoff's body was never recovered. However, the family has expressed their hope that Tyler's memory will inspire tour companies to develop and enforce safety programs when interlacing with Hawaii's unique environment. The family emphasizes that this incident was entirely preventable and hopes that measures will be taken to ensure such an event will never happen again. That's it for today, and I appreciate you watching until the end. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our ever-growing community. Don't forget to show some love to the like button, it's waiting for you. See you at the next one.